of an Awakening Spirit with your host, Kathleen Flanagan. The journey of an awakening spirit is about teaching you a variety of tools that you can use to step into your true self. It is about self-discovery, realizing you are not alone on your journey. We will open the phone lines, give readings, and talk about what our listeners want to know. So please welcome the host of the Journey of an Awakening Spirit, Kathleen Flanagan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, and I am your host, and we are on the Bold Brave TV network. And today I wanted to talk about developing an attitude of gratitude. The one thing that I discovered years ago, was that when life wasn't doing so well for me, the only thing I knew what to do at that point was to feel grateful. And a lot of times we take a lot of things for granted, and it's not that we intend to take things for granted. I think we're just used to having certain things that are happening. And there's so many benefits when we show gratitude. And the one thing that I found and how powerful gratitude was for me was it was back in 2011. My mother had died. There was a lot of things going on in my personal life that I wasn't really working at that point, and I was just in a very bad place. And I apologize for what's happening behind the scenes because I have a very sick cat who's in quarantine, so to speak, but he's getting better. Thank God for that. Anyways, when I was really struggling with how to deal with just everything that was happening in my life and not really sure how to handle what was going on inside my life, I just decided to be grateful and just say, at least, thank God I was in Colorado, or thank God the sun was out, it was blue skies, it was spring, whatever it was. And it was the simplest things, and I started taking a lot more, becoming more present and more conscious. And I know I've been talking about really being present, but that's what gratitude is about as well, is really being conscious and being present and observing. Because when we start moving and changing, gratitude has a way of bringing so much more into our life. And what I have found is when I'm feeling grateful, I bring a lot more positiveness to me because there's an endorphin release that happens. And when those endorphins are releasing, then you're feeling happier. There's a lot more joy coming towards you. People are nicer to you because you're nicer. You're not in a very deep, dark mindset place because, we're so pessimistic and our world doesn't look good. And we're not moving into a place that we want. And we think that I'll be happy when, or I'll be grateful when. And no, that's not it. I mean, just having a toothbrush is something to be grateful for, that you can actually brush your teeth, or that you have food in the refrigerator, or you have people who love you. I mean, just go out in nature and just observe what nature does is another sign of gratitude. And when you start allowing gratitude to come more into your life and encompassing your heart, everything starts to change. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things when I was opening my heart, which was very, very scary at the time. But I was feeling grateful. I was allowing things to come in. I was feeling more grateful. There was more joy in my life. I was dancing. And all of that made a big difference too, of the positiveness that comes to you when your perspective is more outward focused than inward focused, is what I probably want to say. Because if you're looking outside of what can you be grateful for, that's where you're going to look, because we take so much other things for granted. And, it really does make a difference to count your blessings. And then the other thing that's really important that I discovered was when I wake up in the morning or go to sleep at night, that's when I take time. And it's recommended that you just have three things. Start the practice, get yourself a daily journal. And when you're taking the daily journal, think about what you're grateful for. And three things can start setting a different tone in how you're perceiving your world. And then when you go to bed, it's going to help you to fall asleep better because you're not reliving whatever happened in the day, or you're decided you're not going to worry about whatever is happening. That gratitude takes you into a different place to where you're relaxed, you're feeling more peaceful, and which then helps with your health issues too, because when we're in a different frame of mind where we're expressing joy, feeling happy or grateful, there's more energy that comes towards us, because it takes a lot of energy to be negative and dark. But it's almost like it doesn't take more energy to be grateful, but you have more energy because you're grateful. It's the weirdest thing to really go down and experience it. But Cicero, the Roman philosopher Cicero, discussed the subject of gratitude 2,000 years ago, and he saw the value in it and described it as opening doors and keeping people young. Cicero saw gratitude as a true virtue. But gratitude is way more than a virtue. It is something that we feel deep within us, and it is a very strong emotion. And when you say something to somebody and tell them that you appreciate who they are, or what they did for you, if they did something really special, and you say thank you for that and really have a heartfelt experience towards that, they feel that inside, and then that gives them all those warm and fuzzies. And now you're creating this concentric circle of like the pay it forward type thing, because a lot of us want to be recognized and acknowledged, and we're not always recognized or acknowledged. It's like the world is so chaotic and instant gratification, and all these 20-year-olds, and well, not all 20-year-olds, but it's a lot of people, that there's a lot of entitlement out there. And entitlement actually stops good things from coming in, because you're walking around thinking the world owes you or someone owes you. And nobody owes you anything. And the world certainly doesn't owe you anything. You're never going to get that, and you're never going to have what you want as long as you continually think that you're entitled. And that's probably one of the biggest observations that I've been noticing in the last several years, is where has this entitlement attitude come from? And I think it's very destructive, because when I have encountered people with an entitlement attitude, they're usually pretty mean and they're nasty, and they think you owe them something. And you're and you're just kind of like, what? How do I owe you anything? I mean, common courtesy, being nice, being polite. I mean, that is when your world changes, when you start being a better person, when you're on the outside and you're living it, even if the world's not watching you and you're still a nice person. That's when you start seeing things moving further in closer to who you are. Because what I have found, when people are walking around in this entitlement attitude, and it's like they have this biggest chip on their shoulder, and they're just downright mean and nasty. And then you wonder why and then you think, well, I'm going to feel, send them love, because they're just so unhappy. And I just say thank you for whatever. I mean, they showed me something, they gave me a gift, they're showing me how much I've changed, which is a good thing, because sometimes those kind of people want to throw you off your rocker and make you as miserable as they are. And I absolutely refuse to go down that road with anyone. The other thing with gratitude, it also gives you that sense of belonging, because when you're feeling gratitude and you're sharing your gratitude, you start feeling more of a total sense of well-being. And that's always a good place, because that also helps to build your confidence, because if you're feeling good about yourself, then you're going to do more good things for yourself. You're going to do good things for other people. You're going to start acknowledging people. You're just going to do a lot more that's coming out of you, and you're going to become a bigger person as a result of that as well. And we have so many reasons. I mean, there are so many reasons, to be healthy. I mean, having good health is huge. I know so many people that are in pain and suffering and of whatever happened to them. And, and I feel very blessed. I have always, always, always said thank you for my health, because I've always had amazing health. I do get sick. I have had issues happen. Like I broke my hand last year. I've been hospitalized because I had a swollen epiglottis, but I've had so little major serious health issues. And I'm so grateful for that. But I take care of myself too. I make it a point, but my mind is always on, I don't have time to be sick. I don't like being sick. I think it's a waste of time. And then if I do get sick, I always say, you got 24 hours, body. I'm going to give you whatever you want in 24 hours. And after that, I'm coming back to the world of the living. And that's just how I feel about it. And in that 24 hours, I'm going to sit there and let the body do whatever it needs to do. And, I'll do whatever I need to do to get myself back on the ground, up and running. So and that's what I think is really important, is if things aren't going my way, it's like, okay, what am I doing that's caused some of this? Because it always comes down to your thinking. And, I still have this swampy basement going on, and Colorado is still under torrential downpours. I mean, a lot of our crops are seriously underwater. I mean, the corn crops are coming up and they are buried alive underwater. So it's just blowing my mind how much water that Colorado has had in the last month. And Saturday, we decided we were going to start dealing with the water issue on a level that's way beyond what I even wanted to, because I just wanted to put my head in the sand and pretend it would go away. That's just how I wanted to handle it. And that didn't happen. So we started dealing with it. And of course, Felix, the cat who's here with me, he came out and let me know he was fine. And by 5 o'clock that night, something was wrong with him. I mean, something was seriously wrong, and I was terrified. And we ended up going to an emergency clinic to take him in, and he ended up having a blocked urinary tract. And I knew he was going to die. There was no doubt, the way he was acting, he was going to die if I didn't get treatment. And this hospital, there were two women that were just, it wasn't pleasant. It was not a good situation. My emotions were high. I wasn't grumpy or bitchy or anything. I was just emotionally I was just emotional. And my partner wanted to just pick up the cat and leave. And I said, but I don't know where else we can take him. And this is now 9 o'clock at night. So he had been in this hospital for 2 hours and he wasn't being treated because they wanted money. And I was very, very upset about that. So I basically, I talked to the office manager on Monday, told her about what my experience was. We brought Felix home 5 o'clock in the morning the next day, because I only paid for 8 hours of service. But my cat was back to normal, more or less. I mean, he's on medication. He has to be confined right now to get him to relax and make sure that there's no more blockages. He's on a special diet. And, even though I was in all of this, and even though my basement's doing what it's doing, what I found with this practice of being grateful is that I have a better coping mechanism. I'm not totally emotionally distraught. I'm not running off in anger like I used to. I'm not feeling like the world is against me. And when you start developing an attitude of gratitude, you start realizing that life is going to happen. And it's just, how do you handle yourself when life is happening? Do you sit there and get angry, and do you just be grumpy and pissy? Or do you just start taking it with a grain of salt and you just work through it? You just move through whatever needs to get done. And for me, that's what I do now. I mean, I'm so blown away since I started this practice of developing gratitude and really looking at it. And yes, I'm very grateful that Felix is alive, because when they handed me that $6,000 to $8,000 bill for the gold treatment, I was ready to put the cat down, because, and he was only 7, and I was ready to put it down. And I just sat there and I had my head in my hands, and I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I looked up at the woman who handed me the bill, and I just said, this is what we're going to do. And I told her what we were going to do. And I said, now you put a bill together to get this cat out of a crisis situation. And she went off and did it. And that's when the problems all started, because I've had cats long enough to know a lot of things. I've dealt with a lot of illness with my animals over the years, but this was a first for me. And I knew that what I asked her to do, we would be able to get this cat taken care of. So, but I was still grateful. That was the thing. It was just that I was able to maintain my composure. And that was huge, because it was like I wasn't a victim to what was happening. I wasn't emotionally distraught. I wasn't raging. I was just doing my best to stay in control. In my basement, I can't even tell you how much water that I take out of my basement all the time. And, and I decided this is a message, because from abundance, he took abundance and yet abundance remained. And water is your emotions. Water is fluidity. It can be abundance in your life. It could be a lot of things. And I'm just sitting here going, there's a message. And I have no idea what that message is right now, but I know that there's a message. And I'm still looking for it and asking for the message. And now I'm just like, whatever. I look at the rain and it's like, okay, well, we got a sump pump down there, and we empty buckets of water, and that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. We pull the cats out of the basement, close the door, and we're just going to continue moving on. And to me, that's the only thing I know what to do at this moment. The basement has to stop. It has to stop raining for it to dry before I can do the next step, so this doesn't happen in the future. And I kind of get a kick out of just everything. And this all starts when I started the show. So I think it's even more funny, because, it's what it is. And I just have such a different attitude about how I'm handling life right now. So, there are so many benefits with gratitude. I mean, besides making you happier, and I am definitely a walking testimonial to that, you also become more optimistic. And I really believe that, because I truly believe that regardless of what's happening in the world right now, or what's happening in my personal life, I still feel like everything is working out. Everything's going to be fine. And I'm going to do whatever I'm capable of doing to make that happen. And I don't feel overwhelmed. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of feeling grateful, is that overwhelmed feeling is gone. Because I remember there were times when things would happen, like when I had a water loss in my other home and I had no bathrooms. I mean, I was just in constant overwhelm, because I'm taking a shower. It's sub-zero. I'm taking a shower in my garage, because the abatement contractors have portable showers, because that's what they have to have on an abatement job. And I had to have abatement because I had asbestos in my home. So everything on that floor was down, and I'm sitting here in sub-zero weather in my garage taking a shower. And I was overwhelmed. I was just totally overwhelmed the whole time. And it was just breathe, and what's the message, what's the message, and what's the message. And this time with what's happening, it's like I don't feel overwhelmed. I still feel empowered and in control.
We need to go to commercial.
Well, we'll be right back after we hear a word from our sponsors.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense Radio Show with host Dr. Broderick. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kathleen Flanagan. I'm your host on the Bold Brave TV network. So anyways, what I want to do is I want to just kind of go a little bit more about how gratitude can help make you patient. And there was research study conducted in Northwestern University where they found that people who practice gratitude on a regular basis tended to be a lot more patient than those that did not. And I find that to be very true as well. Because patience, when we're patient, it's like we're more at ease. And we're trusting in a process more when we're showing patience. And, the one thing that I always knew about myself at one point was I was not a very patient person. And the one thing I'm discovering is I've become very patient. Not always, but on a whole, I have become a very patient person. And that's really surprises me that just this one act does so much for who we are and what we do and how we act in life and how we show up. The other thing is that also can help improve relationships because, we as a society, and I have been guilty of this too, is that when things aren't going well for us, we have a tendency to turn around and take it out on our family and friends, the people we love the most, because we figure they love us and they will understand when we're not such a nice person. But that's really totally unfair to them because they don't deserve that. They deserve to be treated with decency and respect. And I think that was one of the biggest things that started to change for me was that I started to appreciate my friends and loved ones around more. And when I would say, I really love you for this, and I really think when you do this, I think this is a really cool, and I really appreciate when you, like if Sal brings me flowers, it's like you brought me flowers. Now, this is a guy who doesn't even believe in flowers, and he'll bring flowers home, and it just makes me feel so good and warm and fuzzy on the inside because he took some time to think about me to say, I love you. And so he works down in Denver, which is, an hour from where we live now. And, what's the one thing I can do for him is I can try to just at least have a nice meal for him when he comes home. Or, like the other day, I just went up to him and I just gave him a great big hug just because, and he was really surprised by that. And it just gave him the warm and fuzzies. And I mean, our divorce rates are so high. And it's because we just snap at each other instead of being kind. And when we start showing gratitude for the people around us, then your marriages and your relationships become better because people really appreciate you acknowledging them. I know that we don't send thank you cards anymore, but that is such a big deal. And I know that my mother used to make me send thank you cards for birthday presents or Christmas presents or whatever it was, graduation, confirmation, whatever it was. And it would have to be like this long thing. And you didn't even know you're like a little kid or a teenager. And you're just like, I have to write a novel to say thank you. And it brought a very negative connotation. But what I find now, that if I send somebody a thank you note, it's just, or I receive a thank you note, it just makes me feel good because somebody actually took time out of their day to write a note to say thank you. And that means something in this crazy, fast, hectic life. And that's another way to show gratitude as well. And you're developing a better relationship with whoever it is. Aside from that, I mean, you're sleeping, it improves your sleep because you're in a different state of mind. When you're going off into saying, thank you for this, and I'm grateful for this, is sending off different endorphins that are going to help you relax instead of being all tense. That's why a lot of times people will read at night, or, just to stop the mind chatter. But when you say thank you, because I do this every night, I always say thank you every night, just for the day. And then I give details of what I'm thank you for. And then I always say I and the Father are one, because if I'm making that connection with my higher self, God, the universe, whatever I want to call it, then that just helps me to relax. And I go into these really nice deep sleeps. So that helps. The other thing I've noticed about myself is that I don't get depressed like I used to. I used to just every now and then I'd be like, God, I feel depressed and I don't know why. And I don't feel that way because I'm feeling good, because I'm looking at all the advantages that I have. And it's really creating that much more happiness in my life. That's probably the biggest thing. And even though I gave you like tips on how to pay attention and how to measure your happy scale and all of that, being grateful really does add to that as well, because it really does get into the subconscious part of your mind and it starts moving in that direction. When you're going into a happier place and you know what you're wanting, the law of attraction starts working, because, if you have a goal that you want, and you have to have like a sense of joy about it. Like, you have to live as if you have it. Like, what would you feel if you had that new home or that new car or that relationship? How would you feel? And if you're living that way and saying, thank you for bringing this incredible person into my home, or thank you for this beautiful home that I have, and you're saying it beforehand, what that's doing is that's all going into the subconscious part of the mind, and it's going out there and it's going to create it for you. And so things start coming to you faster because you're coming from a place of gratitude. And it stops that lack that we have a tendency to feel, because when we compare ourselves, because that's like the worst thing you can do, is compare yourselves to your neighbors or your friends or whatever. And when you stop comparing yourself, you stop seeing that there's lack. Because a lot of times, I remember in 2011, when my mother had died, I had a lot of things around me. I knew it. I had friends, I had people who loved me and all of that. But all I could see is I had no money. And I just focused on that. And when I stayed focused on I have no money, guess what? I had no money. When I changed how I was looking at the world, how I was seeing things, how I was feeling, and wanting to make a difference and go more in a positive place, and went into gratitude, it was amazing how my life changed very, very quickly. And the money started flowing in again. So there's something very powerful about gratitude. And it also really does help with that entitlement attitude that people have. Because when you're grateful, you're not expecting the world to give you a handout. You're going to do what you need to do and allow it to happen for you. I'm sorry, I just have this crazy cat on my desk. So your life does get better when you have gratitude. You are happier, and it really does improve your relationships. And when tragedies help or come into your life, you have better coping mechanisms. I'm sorry. Come on. And you have better coping mechanisms, so you can get through life a little bit easier. So I have some, I don't want to say this. So I have some tools in how you can start developing a positive gratitude mindset. And one of them is, like I said before, is wake up, have a journal. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could just have a notepad next to your nightstand and just write 3 things of what you're grateful for, and really feel that before you put your feet on the floor. Really feel the gratitude, because I guarantee you it will change the tone of your day. And I do that, and I notice a big difference in my day when I'm feeling very grateful in the morning and just having that quiet time, writing down what I'm grateful for, focusing on what I want to get accomplished for the day. Yes, things are going to come up that I may not plan for, but I can just go with the flow. And that really makes a big difference in just setting up a tone for the day. And then, of course, when you go to sleep at night, you want to write, what were you grateful for? And you can, if it was just that I had food in my tummy today, because some people don't get to eat. And something like that is something people are very grateful for, that they do have a roof over their head. They have food on the table and in the refrigerator. And and if you have to do daily chores, sometimes we just hate to do chores. I hate cleaning my house, but I love a clean house. But because of that, it's like I don't hate doing the house. It's just that I would rather do something else than clean a house. And maybe one day I'm going to hire somebody to do that. But for now, I just clean the house, and I'm grateful that I have a house to clean, And so it makes it easier to clean the house when I'm feeling grateful for all of that. And then you always want to make sure that you're expressing gratitude to the people around you. That's another big thing that helps you to develop that mindset of just being very conscious with everyone. Well, we're going to take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kathleen Flanagan, and I'm your host on the Bold Brave TV network. Well, gratitude can also empower you. Because what you're going to do and you're going to discover is that it's going to help you in social situations where you come out as a more compassionate, generous person. And there's plenty of studies out there that prove the physical and psychological benefits of that as well. It also can help drive your optimism because you have a totally different opinion about yourself. You see things differently. You feel more optimistic because you really believe that, the universe is conspiring in your best interest. It's not conspiring against you. But as long as you stay in a dark, negative place, of course, you're just going to keep recreating that, because all the universe hears, because when you say, I don't want this, the universe hears, I want this. But when you come in and you say, I'm really thankful for this, and even if it's like you don't even feel like you really have it or feel it, but saying it starts getting it there, where the emotion starts coming into it, because you start seeing yourself in a different light as well. And that was probably one of the biggest things, was how much I started to feel different. I started having a better opinion of myself. I started seeing people who their attitudes towards me changed, because I was the one who was doing all the changes. And I had a lot more energy to move into a new direction, like creativity was flowing. I would get new ideas of what I can do for my businesses, or I would come up with new ideas of what can I do, or what is it that people need that I can provide a service for. And that was what, because I never wanted the world to really be, I was invisible. I was an invisible person, and I really liked it that way, because I thought I got my best work done when nobody could see me. But I wasn't the happiest person because of it as well, and so that this is helping me to come out. That was another big factor, was how much I started to come out when I started feeling good, because I felt good, that I felt like I wanted to share who I was, what I knew, and how I got here, because a lot of times we don't know how to get from point A to point B, and I know how to get there now. And that was one of the reasons why, when the show opportunity came up, I did it, because it was like, I feel like I have something to say. And that is, to me, that was huge for somebody who didn't know how to speak at one point. So I'm just going to go give you a list of some of the most notable benefits, that you'll be aware of the abundance that already exists in your life. It will help you to have more abundance in your life. It will help you to minimize your stress levels. It will make you a lot more optimistic about your future. It will provide you an increased sense of community. It will improve your resilience to handling difficult events. It will increase your sense of emotional well-being. It will increase the amount of physical activity in your life. It will help you to sleep better. It will help you to improve your physical health. It will help reduce feelings of depression. It will reduce feelings of anxiety. And it will give your immune and cardiovascular system a boost. And putting these down and writing just the benefits of what this can do, besides what you're following through on this, is huge. And if you forget to say thank you for a day or two, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just pick up where you left off the next day. I mean, you can come back to it very easily. Again, like what I said with the happiness thing, just have like a stone or something in your pocket, or a crystal or something, and just go, oh, I forgot. I'm really thankful for this. Sometimes just little gentle reminders will give you that opportunity, because like if somebody gave you a crystal or an item of jewelry or something, and you're wearing it, and you just kind of touch it and go, oh, this is from so-and-so, and you just send good vibes to that person, they're going to feel that, even if you're not saying anything to them, they're going to feel it. And that's what's really cool about gratitude, because it very much is an energetic thing. Another thing, when you're doing gratitude, you're also practicing giving, because you're giving of yourself. So if you're around a difficult person and you're just trying to hold the space, or you're just showing kindness or love, even if they're upset or somebody's grieving or in pain, and you're just there, even if you don't say anything, just being there and holding a space for someone, I mean, you're giving to them. And that's something to be grateful for, that you have the ability to give to another human being in a time of trouble. Because how did it feel when you were in a difficult situation and somebody was there and they just held the space for you and allowed you to be who you are? I know that when my mother passed away, a lot of people don't know how to deal with death. They don't know how to deal with someone who's grieving. I know how to do it. Just hold the space. Yes. Do I feel helpless? Totally. But it's not about me. It's about them. And sometimes they just need somebody there to just share what they're saying, to feel, to cry, whatever it is. They just need to know that somebody's there besides them in their pain. And what I found when I was in that side, that most people who couldn't handle it, they kind of left. They left. They didn't know how to deal with me because I was always viewed as the Rock of Gibraltar. And I was crumbling because this was such a new experience. And I knew I would get through it, and I knew I would get through it very quickly. But, there's those emotions that just come out of nowhere. And then there were those handful of people that just let me talk. They didn't say a word. They didn't do anything. They just sat there and let me just say what I needed to say, or cry, or whatever it was. And to me, that was the greatest gift I ever received. So when I look back of all the people I did before I ever had that kind of grief, I'm so grateful that I was able to do that for another human being, because that is the greatest gift you can ever give anyone, is just being there for them. And it's good times, bad times, anytime. Just being present in somebody else's life is huge. And I think and we take so much of that for granted because we live in this crazy, hectic life. And my attitude is, we just need to be nice to people. We just need to remember, social media sometimes, I think, is a very destructive tool that we have. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, but people hide behind it, where there's bullying, and they can sit there and say, I don't believe in bullying, and they're the ones doing all the bullying. I mean, there's just, because you would never do some of this stuff in front of somebody's face. And I think when you're on social media, because you're in that, and emails that we're doing, we're not in that connection, that we're not reading somebody's energy. And to be able to write an email or try to be compassionate and loving in a social media context or through email, that's a very challenging and difficult thing. And if you know how to master that, I mean, give yourself like 10 pats on the back. Because I really, when I'm have something to say, and I try to be very conscious about how I'm presenting it and being in a different frame of mind. So I'm not just writing, like, if you're angry, write the anger out and then write something constructive or whatever. And that's a tool that we all learn to develop. So I've gotten very grateful for myself that I have learned to not be so sometimes mean. I think it's just mean. If I'm hurting, I get mean, and I don't mean to be mean. I just am. And I really have made a lot where I've stepped back and said, no, how would I want to receive this? How can I make this constructive? Like when I talked to the animal hospital, and I was with the talking to the office manager, and she was telling me what she learned about what happened on Saturday. And I turned around, and after a while, it was like she really didn't get what happened. And I said, I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm going to tell you what happened on Saturday. And I proceeded to tell her what happened. And I targeted in on the two people that were crazy and making me crazy. And I said, the doctor was great. The guy who checked me out was great. I said, everybody's been really nice except for these two people. And I said, and they stopped listening. They stopped hearing anything. I don't know what went on in their minds, but it was just not a good situation. And, and what she did is that she just gave me feedback as far as, that they work on helping their people and they have room for improvement. Now, and as a business owner, I know I hate those phone calls, and I love those phone calls at the same time, because you don't know what's going on if somebody doesn't share it. And I wasn't being vindictive or angry. I was just stressed out, and I wanted her to understand that she needs to do something with these two women and what they do when there is a serious situation. And they are very well aware of, you're in a hospital emergency room with an animal. there are high emotions, and you need to really be good with that. And I was working my best, and I was, and when I met her, because I went in and I met her, and we were just like good people, good friends. It was like I had no animosity anymore. I had no anger. I had nothing, because she and I were able to talk it out. And that's because I wanted this to work out. And when you take something in that situation where you're moving in that direction to want to see the right outcome and a better outcome, that's what happens. And this is what gratitude does. It makes you want to be better and be more constructive, because I didn't want to destroy her or the clinic. I just wanted her to know that there was a problem. And, I'm so grateful it was me. I could take it, I guess. Maybe that's why. But it was good. It turned out good. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to say something, and I'm thankful that I wasn't angry and bitter and mean. I just wanted to be very constructive. And those are things that's empowering. Those things are empowering, because I had a voice. I got to say it, and they listened because they wanted to be better, and they wanted to make this situation right as well. And that's a win-win. And gratitude gives you so many of those win-win opportunities. So anyways, I just can't tell you how much being grateful is. And I know that we're getting close to a commercial break, and I'm not going to do this, but I do have a meditation, a gratitude meditation, that I want to share after we come back from our commercial break. And then there's, because everything else we pretty well talked about. And then I'll finalize everything up with the, I think just like 9 steps, just like a quick 9-step. I can't even think. Summary. That's the word I'm looking for, summary. So we're just going to go ahead and take that commercial break now, and I will see you back momentarily.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Kathleen Flanagan, and we are on the Bold Brave TV network. So here's some practices that I want to give you. This is the summary, but right now this is a gratitude meditation that I would like to give you. So if you want to find a comfortable chair and sit in a quiet place, go ahead and close your eyes. And if you don't want to close your eyes, then just feel free to have a soft gaze on the floor in front of you. So you want to make your mind quiet and slowly start concentrating on your breathing. So you're going to take in a deep breath using your nose. Direct the air to your heart. Now visualize your heart filled with a radiating soft and violet light. As you take your deep breath, visualize the soft light in your heart changing to a pink color as it slowly combines with the violet light. When you exhale, using your mouth, visualize a soft blue light moving away from the violet light and travel up through your body and out through your mouth. Each time that you breathe in, say softly to yourself, I am full of gratitude. And each time you breathe out, say, I give my gratitude to the universe. Repeat this cycle around 4 to 5 times. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, so again, with the practicing of the gratitude, then you have your gratitude journal meditation. You do the meditation, and doing this in the morning or right before you go to bed, either way would be really good for you. That way it's going to create a good positive feeling for your day, and it's going to relax you at night. Once you're done with that, then I would recommend that you write your meditation or in your gratitude journal. You want to write that down. And if you had anything that came up for you in your meditation, then write that down in your gratitude journal as well, because you're going to start seeing things will start coming up that maybe you'll see something a little differently. Answers may come just by sitting there being quiet and still in a place of very strong positive vibrational energy. Then there's a breathing focus. This is another good one too, because it doesn't matter how busy you are, you're always going to find some time to where you can be grateful. And to do this, you just stop and focus your full attention on your breathing. Notice every inhale and exhale that you make. Once you are truly focused on your breathing, say to yourself, thank you for my breath, as an expression of gratitude that you have for life, because you don't breathe yourself. Something higher is breathing through you. And that in itself lets you know that you are a divine being. And you want to try to do this at least once a day, a minimum of 3 times a week. And this is a great way for you to remember who you are as well. That's why I always say I and the Father are one, because to me, when I'm saying that, it's the same thing as thank you for allowing me to live another day, because none of us know how long we have. Then you can also use visual and audible reminders for your gratitude as well. Like I said earlier, you can carry a crystal in your pocket or purse, and every time you see it, it can remind you to be grateful. You can put visual notes on your wall, use an alarm on your phone to remind you. You can create a visual schedule, and of course, find a partner that you can be grateful for, where you guys remind each other. You want to show gratitude towards your family. So instead of screaming and yelling at your kids, maybe find something more positive to say to where they're become it's more of a positive influence instead of always them being in trouble. Just find other ways that might change alter their not their personalities, but their behavior. And then, of course, writing thank you notes is another way to let people know, and just expressing that. So anyways, I just wanted to remind you that KathleenMFlanagan.com. I do have the Attitude Gratitude ebook on the website under the ebooks, and it's $9.99 if you would like to purchase that. And this has everything that you're looking for. Everything we talked about is in that ebook for you. And we are offering the 40% off of the awakeningspirit.com in the coupon code, and Grandma's Natural Remedies is .net, and that's 20% off the CBD products. And also I'm giving a free 15-minute consultation if you want to have a conversation. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. This is Kathleen Flanagan with the Journey of Awakening Spirit, and we are on the Bold Brave TV network. And from my heart to yours, I will see you next week, and make it a fabulous week.
This has been the Journey of an Awakening Spirit with your host, Kathleen Flanagan. Join Kathleen each week as she will inspire and empower all those who are drawn to her to live their highest vision in the context of love and joy. Right here Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.